So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about what is the right way to read a book and actually benefit from it so that it moves you further towards your goals and dreams. Your goals and dreams may be financial, non-financial, health-related, relationship-related, dating-related, or in my case, a lot of financial goals. How do you actually find a way to read the books the right way? Because there is a right way to do it, there is a wrong way to do it. And before I get to that, I want to really get into this subject because there is a lot of the advice going on in the mainstream media and on social media that reading books is not going to help you, or it's a waste of time, or geeks read books, or it's outdated, or it's slow. That's simply not the case. Warren Buffett reads books, and Elon Musk reads books. And there are a lot of people who read books and benefit tremendously out of it. So there is definitely value in it, but there is a line that you have to draw as to being a scholar and being somebody that executes on the material. And I read a lot, but I read very specific types of books and which are related to the type of problems that I'm dealing with. These are not I'm not a random reader, like the only reason I would go to a book is because I absolutely have to have a solution and I'm not able to find a solution to that problem. Then I go to a book. So I'm going to be decoding the process of reading it the right way because let's face it, a book is really thick. It's time consuming to read. It costs a lot of time to finish a book. So, there are only finite number of books that you're going to be reading in your entire lifetime. And you have to make sure those books were even relevant to your life or your goals and were connected to that. So we'll get to that in a second. I've seen a lot of people reading random books. I don't think that that's the way to do it because what is it doing? Oh, it's enhancing my general knowledge or it's enhancing my, vocabulary and all of that. To me, that's not that valuable. The reason I would read a book, the purpose of reading a book, the only purpose from my standpoint is if it moves you towards your goal, if it makes you fulfill your dreams. And there are books that can get you to fulfill your dreams. So I'm going to be telling you how to discover those. So one of the first steps that you want to do before you take on any activity, not just the books, is to assess whether how that thing that you're about to do, any act, any activity, task, like reading a book or meeting somebody, how is that linked to your dream specifically? And how does that move you forward in that direction? If it doesn't move you forward, you shouldn't invest time into it. Even if it's a book, even if it's learning something. If it's not connected with any of your goals or dreams, then there is really no point in doing something in the present. So what you do in the present is actually determined by the future. And if that is the case, because the pieces of the present is what makes the future. So if you want to discover what action you perform in the present, that action has to be dependent on the type of future that you have created for yourself, the future that you want. And that future is your dream, that future is your goal. So if you don't have a list of your goals and dreams, how are you going to know what to do? Because the set of actions that you need to perform come from that future that you have created for yourself. And nobody can create a future for you. You have to do it on your own. A lot of the people will try to create a future for you. They will have a prescription. Oh, you need to get married at this age. This has to be the type of girl. This is what you should wear. This is where you should live. This is what you should do as a job. And this is how much you should make. And this is how much you deserve. So for sure, people are going to impose their prescriptions on you. But we don't live in that reality. We push back on that we say fuck you, and we create our future ourselves. That's what makes us entrepreneurs. That's what makes us visionaries, is that we create our future ourselves with our pen, our notebook, and our, whatever that you use to write down your goals. So we are in charge of our futures. So that's the position you have to assume and write down your goals. Money related, travel related, dating, if you're single, or family, you may have a wife and children, or if you're a woman watching this, you may have a husband or children. So family, and then health and happiness. So those are the areas in which you need to have goals. And some of them that I these days I'm writing is legacy related. So what is the work that I'm leaving in this world? I existed on this planet, and what is the work that I'm leaving behind me? What was my impact? What was my circle of impact? How big of an impact did I create? So you need to have these goals written down. And once you write these goals down, what you would find is, and I want you to write the goals down from a fresh perspective. There is a tendency to write goals down based on your current capabilities and abilities. So you may have a goal of becoming a public speaker, and you may have no skill of doing it. Or you may have a dream of starting a private equity firm, but you don't have a finance background. So don't create goals and dreams based off of your background and the past, but create it from kind of like nothing, starting from nothing. You create it from a fresh start. Don't create it with your qualifications, background, experience, skills. That's not the place that we create our goals from. We create it from an empty, clean slate. If anything was possible, what would you want? Because the truth is, even if you don't have the skills and capabilities, you could develop them because you have time. So you must define and clarify specifically what the goal is. Once you in every area of your life, and then once you do that, what you will discover is skill gap and information gap. So you don't know how this goal is going to happen, what information is needed, and what skill set is needed. You will immediately, the moment you write down the goals, you will discover that you don't know a whole bunch of stuff. And let's say you want to become an entrepreneur and make hundreds of millions of dollars, you will quickly realize you don't have X number of skills, 8, 10, 12 skills. And once you write those skills down, then those skills and the lack of information that you don't have, that is going to determine the books that you would read. It's not a random, you just pick up a book, you start reading. That may happen from time to time. You may leave some room for spontaneity also, but you also want to have a structured process where you've written down the skills that you want to acquire, the information that you want to have, the knowledge that you want to have, and that you need to fulfill this line items, these goals, and then you start researching on the books. So there is a significant amount of time that I put on just the research of the book and really evaluating, like, do I really need to read this? Because I don't want to invest all of this time if it's not worthwhile. What's the return on my time to read this book? It's a painful process. I sit down and I read. So it has to be worthwhile. It has to have a big return associated with it. And it has to be linked with a skill that I'm going to use for the rest of my life. So I know if I read 1 or 2 books around one skill, or a couple of books, I know that it's going to impact the next 50 years of my life. So then I can justify reading the book. Then it's not going to be as painful. The most painful thing about reading a book is the time investment. What's the return, man? The reason you yawn or you get sleepy, you don't want to go through it, is because you may not even see a return. Have you noticed that there are some books that you just gobble like it's candy, and you just finish it off one after the other on a particular subject? And other books you just kind of keep checking out. That checking out of the books is not happening because you're not a reader. That's happening because the book is not relevant. I had this quote when you're sitting in a classroom and you're not able to focus on the books is because intuitively you have a brain, you have intelligence that's telling you this thing is not relevant to you, man. Look outside the window. Maybe the book was the distraction and the window was where the real life was happening, right? So we are told that, oh, don't be distracted looking out the window, look into the book. Maybe the book was the distraction. Maybe the entire classroom was a distraction to keep you away from making money. That's just my perspective. But the reason you feel checked out while reading is because the book may not be relevant to you. So when you have that signal in your brain, it's uninteresting. You reevaluate whether that book is even relevant and what goal is that connected with, and what skill and what information is that connected with. So you have to define this before investing your time in a book. Then you have to research, because you may find there are 50 to 100 books written on that subject. You want to look for legends. You want to look for books that a lot of the successful people have given credit to for their success. And if you find those books that a lot of people have given credit to, there is a lot of value in that. So I choose the book which has a lot of authority, and then I go a step further into researching whether this is relevant to me or not, is I go on ChatGPT and generate chapter by chapter summary and get the gist, get the value of the book up front. In a couple of minutes, you can read the summary and you can understand whether this is relevant to your problem or not. And you may find that, oh my goodness, this book is exactly what I need. This is the problem that I'm dealing with right now. This is a problem that's so painful that I need this information, and then you can read the book. Or you may find out, like a lot of the stuff that's written in the summary, I already know, and it's not that relevant. So how interested you are in the book depends on how big of your problem, what problem are you solving, and how much pain do you have associated with that problem. So if you see a book is addressing all of your pain, then you will see you're very engaged and that book is extremely valuable to you. So you have to follow your instinct. Wherever you're getting drawn to, whatever the subject that you're getting drawn to, you have to kind of be aligned with that gut feeling that, yes, this is what I want. This is what's relevant to me. And then you have to read through it. And then I like to take notes. I like to extract a lot of value. But what I've noticed is that when I'm reading a book where I'm developing a skill that's extremely valuable to my future, I have a very high retention. It's almost like I remember the whole book, even if I read it just one time. And then this knowledge grows with time. Another thing I do is take courses, and I love courses. I've taken over 50 plus courses, business, marketing, networking, health and wellness. I've done quite a bit of work on myself. And how I picked those courses is because I had written down my goals. So that's the framework of how do you read books. And a lot of the work around the book is related to the background, the groundwork before you even select the book. Before you determine that this is the right book, there has to be a whole thought process behind it, because reading a book is a big investment and it better be connected to a skill that has long-term value and it's directly connected to your goals and dreams. And that skill is something that you lack, that you don't have, and that you have no information around. For example, when I got into mergers and acquisitions, I didn't have a finance or accounting background. And I had to go through a lot of financial statements. And the first time I saw a financial statement, I just didn't understand anything. It was like, some kind of an engineering book or anything. I just didn't understand anything. So I was like, I need to do something about this because this is part of my work and I don't understand this. I can't just always rely on other people. I should know at least the basics of it. So I picked up a book called Financial Intelligence and I learned all the terms. And then I read the financial statements and it was like magic. I could just understand everything. I could understand my own finances. I could understand my clients' finances. I could understand everybody in my family's finances. I was suddenly financially intelligent. And that book made a big difference to me. And this is something I recommend because if you're dealing with money, then you need to understand financial terms. And just like that, there may be a lot of other books that you might want to invest your time in, but how you determine that is based on your dreams and then added research and seeing what influential people, your role models, have to say about that book. Another process of finding the right book is I look at who I want to be like. Let's say it's Donald Trump, let's say it's Larry Ellison, let's say it's Rupert Murdoch, all of these, or Warren Buffett, all of these figures. I would investigate into their life and I would find out the books that shaped them. And then I wouldn't just blindly read those, but I would look at the summary and I would see if it's relevant or not. And then I would go into it. For example, Elon Musk may have recommended a book on space travel, but that may not be linked to your goal. So you can skip that. But maybe he has read some other book that helped him tremendously. You could read that. And it's related to your goal. You could read that. So there's always, even if your role model has recommended it, you have to do the research and you have to ascertain how is it relevant to you and how is it linked to your goal. So that's the framework on how to read the books the right way. I'll talk to you soon.